Imagine waking up one day and feeling completely at peace, like you finally understand who you are and what you're meant to do in this world. Sounds amazing, right? Well, that's what happens when you find your inner self. You might think finding your inner self is some complicated spiritual journey that only monks on mountaintops can achieve, but it's actually something we all can do, right here, right now. It's not about changing who you are, but about uncovering the real you that's been there all along. Now, you might be wondering, why should I care about finding my inner self? Well, let me tell you, it's one of the most important things you can do for yourself. When you don't know your inner self, it's like trying to navigate through life with a broken compass. You might feel lost, confused, or like you're just going through the motions without any real purpose. Maybe you felt that way before. I know I have. But here's the thing. Finding your inner self can change everything. It's like switching on a light in a dark room. Suddenly, you can see clearly. You understand your true desires, your values, and what really matters to you. This knowledge is incredibly powerful. It helps you make better decisions, build stronger relationships, and feel more fulfilled in everything you do. In this video, we're going to explore what your inner self really is, why it's so important to connect with it, and most importantly, how you can start finding it today. I'm going to share some simple techniques that anyone can use, no matter how busy or stressed you might be. By the end of this video, you'll have the tools you need to start your own journey of self-discovery. Let's start by talking about what we mean when we say inner self. Your inner self is the core of who you are, beneath all the roles you play and the masks you wear in daily life. It's the part of you that remains constant, even as everything else changes. Think of yourself like an onion. Don't worry, this isn't going to make you cry. On the outside, you have all the different parts of your life, your job, your relationships, your hobbies. These are the outer layers. But as you peel back those layers, you get closer and closer to the center. That center, the heart of the onion, is your inner self. Your inner self is made up of your deepest beliefs, values, and desires. It's the voice inside you that knows what truly makes you happy, even if you don't always listen to it. It's the part of you that remains true, even when life gets tough or confusing. Here's an example to help you understand. Let's say you have a friend who everyone thinks is always happy and outgoing. They're the life of the party, always smiling and laughing. But deep down, this friend actually loves quiet time alone and feels most alive when they're in nature. The party-loving persona is their outer self, the face they show to the world. Their love for solitude and nature, that's closer to their inner self. Now, you might be thinking, okay, but why does this matter? Why can't I just be who I am on the surface? Well, the truth is, when we're not connected to our inner selves, we often feel like something's missing. We might make choices that don't really align with who we are, or we might feel constantly stressed and unfulfilled without knowing why. Connecting with your inner self is like becoming best friends with yourself. You start to understand your own thoughts and feelings better. You become more aware of what you really want in life, not just what others expect of you or what you think you should want. This self-awareness is incredibly powerful. When you know your inner self, you can make decisions that truly align with who you are. You're less likely to be swayed by others' opinions or societal pressures. Instead, you can chart your own course in life, one that feels authentic and fulfilling to you. But here's the really exciting part. Your inner self is also the source of your intuition, your creativity, and your deepest wisdom. When you're connected to your inner self, you tap into these incredible resources. You might find that you're better at solving problems, that you have more creative ideas, or that you just generally feel more in flow with life. Finding your inner self isn't about changing who you are. It's about peeling back the layers to reveal the true you that's been there all along. It's about getting to know yourself on a deeper level, understanding your own thoughts and feelings, and learning to trust your own inner wisdom. This journey of self-discovery is different for everyone. For some, it might feel like coming home to a part of themselves they'd forgotten. For others, it might be more like meeting a stranger who turns out to be the best friend they never knew they had. As we go through this video, remember that finding your inner self is a personal journey. There's no one-size-fits-all approach. The techniques we'll discuss are tools to help you on your path, but the real work happens inside you. It's about being open, curious, and willing to look within. So, are you ready to start this journey? Are you ready to meet the real you? Let's dive deeper into how we can start connecting with our inner selves and why it's so crucial for living a fulfilling life. Before we talk about how to connect with your inner self, it's important to recognize when you might be disconnected from it. Many of us go through life without realizing we've lost touch with our true selves. Here are some common signs that you might be disconnected from your inner self. One of the most common signs of being disconnected from your inner self is feeling lost or directionless in life. You might find yourself wondering, what am I doing with my life? Or, is this all there is? These feelings often come up when we're living in a way that doesn't align with our true selves. For example, let's say you've always loved art, but you chose a career in finance because it seemed more practical. You might be successful on paper, but deep down, you feel unfulfilled. That feeling of something missing, of not being on the right path, is often a sign that you're not in touch with your inner self. Another sign of disconnection from your inner self is constantly trying to please others at your own expense. When we're not in touch with our inner selves, we often look to others for validation and approval. This can lead to saying yes to things we don't really want to do, or changing ourselves to fit what we think others want us to be. Maybe you find yourself agreeing to plans you don't really want to be part of, or taking on extra work even when you're already overwhelmed. If you often put others' needs before your own and have trouble setting boundaries, it might be a sign that you're not listening to your inner self. Feeling constantly stressed or anxious can also be a sign that you're disconnected from your inner self. When we're not living in alignment with our true selves, it creates inner tension. This tension often manifests as stress or anxiety. For instance, you might feel anxious about making decisions, even small ones. Or you might feel a constant sense of pressure, like you're never doing enough. This stress isn't just about having a busy life. It's about feeling like you're not living authentically. When we're disconnected from our inner selves, life can start to feel dull or meaningless. You might find that you're not excited about anything anymore. Hobbies that used to bring you joy might feel like chores. You might struggle to find motivation, even for things you used to love. This lack of passion isn't about being lazy or unmotivated. It's often a sign that you're not living in a way that aligns with your true self. Your inner self knows what truly excites and fulfills you, and when you're not in touch with it, life can lose its color. Do you find yourself constantly second-guessing your decisions? Do you always need to ask others for their opinion before you can make a choice? This difficulty in trusting yourself is often a sign of disconnection from your inner self. When we're connected to our inner selves, we have a strong sense of our own values and desires. This makes decision-making easier because we have a clear internal compass to guide us. But when we're disconnected, we might feel lost and unsure, always looking to others for guidance. Believe it or not, being disconnected from your inner self can even show up in physical ways. You might experience unexplained fatigue, frequent headaches, or digestive issues. While these symptoms can have many causes, they're often linked to the stress and tension of not living authentically. Our bodies and minds are deeply connected, and when we're not honoring our true selves, our bodies often try to tell us through physical discomfort. Lastly, if you often feel like you're playing a role or wearing a mask in your daily life, this is a big sign of disconnection from your inner self. You might feel like different people in different situations, always adapting to what you think others expect of you. While it's normal to adjust our behavior somewhat in different settings, constantly feeling like you can't be your true self is a sign that you've lost touch with your inner core. Recognizing these signs is the first step towards reconnecting with your inner self. If you've noticed some of these signs in your own life, don't worry. It's very common to feel disconnected in our busy, often chaotic world. The good news is that your inner self is always there, waiting for you to reconnect. In the next part of our video, we'll talk about the incredible benefits of connecting with your inner self. Understanding these benefits can give you the motivation you need to start your journey of self-discovery. Remember, finding your inner self isn't about changing who you are. It's about uncovering the amazing person you've always been beneath the surface. Now that we've talked about what the inner self is and how to recognize when you're disconnected from it, let's explore the wonderful benefits of reconnecting with your inner self. Understanding these benefits can be a powerful motivator on your journey of self-discovery. One of the most immediate benefits of connecting with your inner self is a deeper sense of self-awareness. When you start to peel back the layers and really get to know yourself, you begin to understand your thoughts, feelings, and behaviors on a whole new level. This self-awareness is like having a superpower. Suddenly, you can see clearly why you react the way you do in certain situations. You understand your triggers, your fears, and your desires. This understanding gives you the power to change patterns that aren't serving you and to make choices that align with who you truly are. For example, let's say you've always had a hard time speaking up in meetings at work. As you connect with your inner self, you might realize that this stems from a childhood experience where you were criticized for sharing your ideas. With this awareness, you can start to work through those old fears and find your voice. When you're connected to your inner self, making decisions becomes so much easier. Instead of constantly second-guessing yourself or looking to others for answers, you have a strong internal compass to guide you. This doesn't mean you'll always know exactly what to do, but you'll have a clearer sense of what feels right for you. You'll be able to make choices based on your true values and desires, rather than on what you think you should do or what others expect of you. Let's say you're trying to decide whether to take a new job offer. When you're connected to your inner self, you can tune into what truly matters to you. Is it the salary? The opportunity for growth? The work-life balance? Your inner self knows what's most important to you, even if it's different from what society says should be important. As you become more connected to your inner self, you'll find that your relationships improve too. When you're authentic and true to yourself, you naturally attract people who appreciate the real you. You're also better able to set healthy boundaries and communicate your needs clearly. Being connected to your inner self gives you the confidence to be vulnerable and genuine with others. You're not trying to be someone you're not or constantly seeking approval. This authenticity creates deeper, more meaningful connections with others. For instance, you might find the courage to have that difficult conversation you've been avoiding with a friend. Or you might realize that some relationships in your life no longer align with who you truly are, and find the strength to let them go or transform them. Connecting with your inner self can be like finding an anchor in the storms of life. When you're grounded in who you are, external events have less power to throw you off balance. You become more resilient, better able to handle life's ups and downs. This doesn't mean you won't feel negative emotions. Being connected to your inner self actually allows you to feel your emotions more fully. But you'll be able to process these emotions in a healthier way. Instead of being overwhelmed by them, you can acknowledge them, understand where they're coming from, and move through them more easily. For example, if you face a setback at work, instead of spiraling into self-doubt, you might be able to see it as a learning opportunity. Your inner self knows that your worth isn't defined by external success or failure. Perhaps one of the most profound benefits of connecting with your inner self is a greater sense of purpose and fulfillment in life. When you're living in alignment with your true self, life feels more meaningful. You're not just going through the motions, but actively creating a life that resonates with who you are at your core. This sense of purpose doesn't necessarily mean you'll suddenly know your life's grand mission. It might be as simple as feeling satisfied with how you spend your days, or knowing that you're making choices that align with your values. For instance, you might discover that what really fulfills you is helping others. This realization could lead you to volunteer, change careers, or simply be more present for your friends and family. Whatever it is, when you're living in line with your inner self, you feel a sense of rightness, like you're on the path you're meant to be on. Connecting with your inner self can unlock your creative potential in amazing ways. When you're not bogged down by trying to be what others expect or constantly worrying about doing the right thing, your mind is free to explore new ideas and solutions. Your inner self is the source of your intuition and your deepest wisdom. When you're connected to it, you can tap into this wellspring of creativity and insight. You might find yourself coming up with innovative solutions to problems at work or rediscovering a long-forgotten passion for art or music. For example, if you've been stuck on a project, Taking the time to connect with your inner self through meditation or journaling might help you see the problem from a new angle. Or you might suddenly feel inspired to start that novel you've always dreamed of writing. Believe it or not, connecting with your inner self can even improve your physical health. When you're living authentically and in alignment with your true self, you experience less internal conflict and stress. This can lead to better sleep, improved digestion, and a stronger immune system. Moreover, when you're connected to your inner self, you're more in tune with your body's needs. You might find yourself naturally drawn to healthier foods or forms of exercise that truly nourish you, rather than following fad diets or forcing yourself to do workouts you hate. For instance, you might realize that while you've been pushing yourself to go to the gym because you think you should, what your body really craves is the gentle movement of yoga or the peace of a long walk in nature. Finally, one of the most beautiful benefits of connecting with your inner self is a deep sense of inner peace and contentment. When you're no longer constantly striving to be someone you're not, or chasing after things you think will make you happy, you can relax into who you truly are. This doesn't mean your life will be perfect or that you'll never face challenges, but it does mean that you'll have a solid foundation within yourself to face whatever life brings. You'll know that no matter what happens externally, you always have a home within yourself. This inner peace might manifest as feeling more relaxed in your daily life, being able to enjoy the present moment more fully, or simply feeling a sense of okayness even when things aren't going as planned. As you can see, connecting with your inner self can transform every aspect of your life. It's not always an easy journey. It requires honesty, courage, and sometimes facing parts of yourself you've been avoiding. But the rewards are immeasurable. In the next part of our video, we'll start exploring practical techniques you can use to connect with your inner self. Remember, this is a personal journey, and what works for one person might not work for another. The key is to approach this process with an open mind and a willingness to explore. Are you ready to start discovering the amazing person you are at your core? Simple technique, quiet time. Now that we've explored the benefits of connecting with your inner self, let's dive into a simple yet powerful technique to help you start this journey, quiet time. This might sound too simple to be effective, but don't underestimate the power of stillness in our noisy world. Quiet time is exactly what it sounds like. A period of time you set aside to be alone with your thoughts, free from distractions. It's a chance to step away from the constant chatter of daily life and tune into your inner voice. First, find a comfortable, quiet place where you won't be disturbed. This could be a corner of your bedroom, a peaceful spot in nature, or even your car if that's the only place you can get some alone time. The important thing is that you feel safe and relaxed in this space. Next, set aside a specific amount of time. If you're new to this, start small. Even just 5 or 10 minutes can be beneficial. As you get more comfortable with the practice, you can gradually increase the time. Now, here's the important part. During this time, do nothing. That's right, nothing. Don't read, don't listen to music, don't scroll through your phone. Just sit quietly with yourself. It might feel uncomfortable at first. We're not used to being still in our busy world, but stick with it. As you sit in silence, you might notice your mind start to race with thoughts about your to-do list or worries about the future. That's okay. The goal isn't to empty your mind completely, but to observe your thoughts without getting caught up in them. Imagine your thoughts are like clouds passing across the sky of your mind. You can see them, but you don't need to chase after them. During this quiet time, you might want to focus on your breathing. Take slow, deep breaths. Feel the air moving in and out of your body. This can help anchor you in the present moment and calm your mind. You might be wondering, what am I supposed to do during this quiet time? The answer is nothing and everything. You're creating space for your inner self to emerge. Sometimes you might have profound insights. Other times, you might just feel restless or bored. Both are perfectly normal and part of the process. Try to practice quiet time regularly, daily if possible, but even a few times a week can make a big difference. Many people find it helpful to do this first thing in the morning before the day gets busy, or in the evening as a way to unwind. Remember, the goal of quiet time isn't to achieve some perfect state of Zen. It's simply to create space in your life where you can start to hear your inner voice. Over time, you might start to notice subtle changes. Maybe you feel calmer throughout your day. Maybe you start to have clearer insights about your life. Or maybe you just enjoy having a few moments of peace in your busy schedule. Don't get discouraged if it feels difficult at first. Like any new habit, it takes time to get used to. Be patient and kind with yourself. Every time you sit down for quiet time, you're taking a step towards connecting with your inner self. As you practice quiet time and start to connect more with your inner self, you'll likely notice another voice emerging, your intuition. Intuition is often described as a gut feeling or a sense of just knowing something without logical reasoning. It's a powerful tool for connecting with your inner self and navigating life's challenges. But what exactly is intuition? Think of it as your inner wisdom, a kind of knowledge that comes from deep within you. It's not based on conscious thinking or analysis, but rather on a deeper understanding that we often can't explain rationally. Many of us have experienced intuition without realizing it. Maybe you've had a feeling that you shouldn't trust someone, even though they seemed nice on the surface. Or perhaps you felt drawn to a particular career path, even if it didn't make logical sense at the time. These are examples of your intuition at work. The tricky part is learning to recognize and trust your intuition. In our logical, fact-based world, we're often taught to ignore these irrational feelings. But your intuition is a valuable source of insight and guidance. Pay attention to your body. Intuition often manifests as physical sensations. You might feel a tightness in your chest when something's not right, or a sense of lightness and excitement when you're on the right path. Start noticing these physical cues. Notice your first impressions. When you meet someone new or encounter a new situation, what's your immediate feeling? Before your logical mind kicks in with analysis, there's often a flash of intuitive insight. Start paying attention to these first impressions. Listen to your dreams. Our intuition often speaks to us through our dreams. Keep a dream journal and see if you notice any patterns or messages coming through. Trust your gut in small decisions. Start by following your intuition on small, low-stakes decisions. What do you feel like eating for lunch? Which route do you feel like taking to work today? As you practice trusting your intuition in these small ways, you'll build confidence in your inner guidance. Don't rush. Intuition often speaks in whispers, not shouts. When you're facing a decision, take some time to be still and listen. The answer might not come immediately, but if you create space, your intuition will often provide guidance. Here's an example of how intuition might work in daily life. Let's say you're considering taking a new job. On paper, it looks great, good salary, impressive title, solid company, but something doesn't feel right. You can't put your finger on it, but you have a nagging feeling that this isn't the right move. This might be your intuition talking. In this situation, you could take some quiet time to tune into your feelings about the job. Maybe as you sit quietly, you realize that what you really want is a job with more creativity, even if it pays less. Or perhaps you sense that the company culture isn't a good fit for you, even though everything looks good on the surface. This is your intuition guiding you towards what's truly right for you, beyond just the logical pros and cons. It's important to note that intuition isn't about ignoring logic or facts. Instead, it's about balancing your rational mind with your inner wisdom. The best decisions often come when we can integrate both our logical thinking and our intuitive insights. As you practice listening to your intuition, you might face doubts. What if I'm just making this up? What if I follow my intuition and make a mistake? These doubts are normal. Remember, developing your intuition is a skill, and like any skill, it takes practice. Even if you follow your intuition and things don't turn out as you expected, that's okay. Every experience is an opportunity to learn and grow. The more you practice tuning into your intuition, the clearer and more reliable it will become. Listening to your intuition is a powerful way to connect with your inner self. It's about trusting that you have an inner wisdom that can guide you. As you learn to recognize and trust this inner voice, you'll find yourself making choices that align more closely with your true self, leading to a more authentic and fulfilling life. As you embark on this journey of finding your inner self, it's important to be prepared for obstacles along the way. Connecting with your inner self isn't always easy, and you might face challenges that make you want to give up. But don't worry, These obstacles are a normal part of the process, and with the right mindset and tools, you can overcome them. One common obstacle is self-doubt. As you start to connect with your inner self, you might hear a voice saying, "This is silly," or "Who do you think you are to focus on yourself like this?" This self-doubt can be loud and persistent, making you question whether you're on the right path. Remember, this doubt is normal. It often comes from old beliefs or fears that we've internalized over the years. The key is to acknowledge these doubts without letting them stop you. When you notice self-doubt creeping in, try saying to yourself, "I hear you, but I'm choosing to continue this journey anyway." Over time, as you start to experience the benefits of connecting with your inner self, these doubts will often fade. Another obstacle you might face is impatience. In our fast-paced world, we're used to quick results. But connecting with your inner self is a gradual process. You might sit down for quiet time and expect to have a life-changing epiphany right away. When that doesn't happen, it's easy to get frustrated and want to give up. The key here is to adjust your expectations. Connecting with your inner self is more like tending a garden than flipping a switch. It takes time, consistent effort, and patience. Celebrate small victories. Maybe you felt a moment of peace during your quiet time, or you noticed a subtle intuition that you wouldn't have picked up on before. These small steps are signs of progress. Time constraints can also be a significant obstacle. With busy schedules and numerous responsibilities, it might feel impossible to find time for self-reflection. You might think, "I barely have time to shower, let alone sit in silence for 20 minutes. If this resonates with you, start small. Even 5 minutes of quiet time can make a difference. Look for pockets of time in your day. Maybe you can wake up a few minutes earlier or use part of your lunch break for reflection. Remember, consistency is more important than duration. A few minutes every day will have a bigger impact than an hour once a month. Another common obstacle is fear. As you connect more with your inner self, you might start to realize things about yourself or your life that you've been avoiding. Maybe you'll recognize that you're not happy in your job or that a relationship isn't serving you. These realizations can be scary because they often mean that changes need to be made. It's okay to feel scared. Change, even positive change, can be frightening. The important thing is to approach these realizations with compassion for yourself. You don't need to make huge life changes overnight. Take things one step at a time, and remember that by facing these truths, you're moving towards a more authentic and fulfilling life. Sometimes, the people around us can be obstacles in our journey of self-discovery. Friends or family members might not understand why you're suddenly taking time for yourself or making changes in your life. They might even criticize or try to discourage you. In these situations, it's important to remember that your journey is your own. While it's natural to want support from loved ones, their approval isn't necessary for your growth. If possible, try to explain to them why this journey is important to you, but also be prepared to set boundaries if needed. It's okay to say, "I understand you might not get it, but this is important to me." Lastly, one of the biggest obstacles can be our own habits and patterns. We're creatures of habit, and even if our current way of living isn't fulfilling, it's familiar. Breaking out of old patterns to connect with our inner selves can feel uncomfortable or even scary. The key here is to be gentle with yourself. Change doesn't happen overnight. Start with small steps and gradually build new habits. If you slip back into old patterns, don't beat yourself up. Just gently guide yourself back to the path of self-discovery. Remember, every obstacle you overcome is a step towards deeper self-understanding. These challenges are not roadblocks, but opportunities for growth. Each time you push through discomfort, doubt, or fear, you're strengthening your connection to your inner self. As you face these obstacles, it can be helpful to remind yourself why you started this journey in the first place. What drew you to the idea of finding your inner self? What kind of life do you envision for yourself? Keeping this vision in mind can help motivate you when things get tough. Also, don't be afraid to seek support. This could be from a trusted friend, a therapist, a support group, or even books and resources on self-discovery. Sometimes, hearing others' experiences or getting guidance from someone who's further along in their journey can provide encouragement and new perspectives. Remember, The path to finding your inner self is not always smooth or straight. There will be ups and downs, moments of clarity and moments of confusion. But each step, each obstacle overcome, brings you closer to living a life that's truly aligned with who you are at your core. Trust the process, be patient with yourself, and keep moving forward. Your inner self is there, waiting for you to discover it. Now that we've explored some techniques for connecting with your inner self and discussed how to overcome obstacles, let's talk about how to make this journey a consistent part of your daily life. After all, finding your inner self isn't a one-time event. It's an ongoing process of self-discovery and growth. The key to making any change in your life is consistency. It's not about making huge transformations overnight, but rather about taking small, consistent steps every day. When it comes to connecting with your inner self, these small daily habits can add up to profound changes over time. One of the most effective ways to make self-discovery a daily habit is to create a morning routine. The first few minutes of your day set the tone for everything that follows. By dedicating even just 10 to 15 minutes each morning to connecting with your inner self, you're starting your day from a place of self-awareness and intention. Wake up a little earlier than usual. Even just 15 minutes can make a big difference. Start with a few minutes of quiet time. This could be sitting in silence, as we discussed earlier, or it might be a short meditation. There are many great apps and guided meditations available if you're new to meditation. Next, you might do some journaling. This doesn't have to be long or complicated. Even just writing down 3 things you're grateful for can help shift your mindset and connect you with your inner self. You could end your routine with some gentle stretching or a few yoga poses. Moving your body can help you feel more connected and grounded. Remember, this is just an example. The most important thing is to create a routine that feels good to you and that you can stick with consistently. Another way to make connecting with your inner self a daily habit is to practice mindfulness throughout your day. Mindfulness is simply the act of being fully present in the moment, aware of your thoughts and feelings without judgment. When you're eating, really focus on the taste and texture of your food. When you're walking, pay attention to the sensation of your feet touching the ground. When you're talking with someone, give them your full attention, really listening to what they're saying. These small moments of mindfulness can help you stay connected to your inner self even during busy days. It can also be helpful to set reminders for yourself throughout the day to check in with your inner self. You might set an alarm on your phone to go off a few times a day, reminding you to take a deep breath and tune into how you're feeling. Another powerful way to make self-discovery a daily habit is to end your day with reflection. Before you go to bed, take a few minutes to think about your day. What went well? What challenges did you face? How did you feel throughout the day? This nightly reflection can help you process your experiences and stay connected to your inner self. Remember, the goal isn't to be perfect. There will be days when you forget to do your morning routine or when you're too tired for evening reflection. That's okay. The important thing is to keep coming back to these practices, even if you've missed a day or two. As you make connecting with your inner self a daily habit, you might want to keep a journal of your journey. This can be a powerful tool for tracking your progress and insights. You might be surprised to look back after a few weeks or months and see how much you've grown. Finally, be patient with yourself. Building new habits takes time. It's said that it takes about 21 days to form a new habit, but for some people, it might take longer. The key is to stick with it even when it feels challenging. Every time you choose to connect with your inner self, you're strengthening that connection. Remember, this journey is unique to you. What works for someone else might not work for you, and that's okay. Feel free to experiment with different practices and routines until you find what feels right. The most important thing is that you're taking time each day to tune in to your inner self, to listen to your intuition, and to live more authentically. As you make connecting with your inner self a daily habit, you may start to notice subtle changes in your life. You might feel more centered, more at peace with yourself. You might find that you're making decisions more easily, or that your relationships are improving. These are all signs that you're growing more connected to your inner self. Embrace this journey of self-discovery. It's a lifelong process, but one that can bring immense joy, fulfillment, and peace. By making it a daily habit, you're giving yourself one of the greatest gifts possible, the gift of truly knowing and being yourself. As we come to the end of our exploration of finding your inner self, let's take a moment to recap what we've learned and look ahead to your continuing journey. We started by discussing what the inner self really is, that core part of you that remains constant even as everything else changes. We talked about why connecting with this inner self is so important, from improving decision-making to finding greater peace and fulfillment in life. We explored signs that you might be disconnected from your inner self, like feeling lost or constantly seeking approval from others. Recognizing these signs is the first step towards making a change. We then delved into the many benefits of connecting with your inner self, from greater self-awareness to improved relationships and a deeper sense of purpose in life. These benefits are what make the journey of self-discovery so worthwhile, even when it's challenging. We discussed practical techniques for connecting with your inner self, like taking quiet time and learning to listen to your intuition. These are tools you can use every day to deepen your self-connection. We also talked about obstacles you might face on this journey, from self-doubt to time constraints, and how to overcome them. Remember, these challenges are a normal part of the process, and each one you overcome makes you stronger. Finally, we explored how to make connecting with your inner self a daily habit, integrating practices like morning routines and mindfulness into your everyday life. Now, as you stand at the beginning of your journey to find your inner self, I want to offer some words of encouragement. First, remember that this journey is uniquely yours. There's no one right way to connect with your inner self. What works for someone else might not work for you, and that's okay. Trust yourself and be willing to explore different practices until you find what resonates with you. Second, be patient with yourself. Finding your inner self is not a destination you reach once and then you're done. It's an ongoing journey of growth and self-discovery. There will be ups and downs, moments of clarity and moments of confusion. Embrace all of it as part of the process. Third, celebrate your progress, no matter how small it might seem. Every time you take a moment for quiet reflection, every time you listen to your intuition, every time you choose authenticity over people-pleasing, these are all victories worth celebrating. Fourth, don't be afraid to seek support. This could be from friends, family, a therapist, or a support group. Sharing your journey with others can provide encouragement, insights, and a sense of community. Fifth, trust the process. There may be times when it feels like nothing is happening or like you're not making progress, but often, the most significant changes are happening beneath the surface. Trust that as long as you keep showing up for yourself, you are growing and changing. Lastly, remember why you started this journey. Whether it was a desire for more fulfillment, a need for clarity, or a yearning to live more authentically, keep that motivation in your heart. Let it guide you and inspire you to keep going, even when things get tough. Finding your inner self is one of the most rewarding journeys you can undertake. It's a path that leads to greater self-understanding, more authentic relationships, and a life that truly resonates with who you are at your core. As you embark on this journey, know that your inner self is always there, waiting for you to discover it. It's the source of your deepest wisdom, your most profound joy, and your truest expression of who you are. So take that first step. Set aside some quiet time tomorrow morning. Start listening to your intuition. Begin that journal. Whatever feels right to you, start there. Remember, every journey begins with a single step. You have everything you need within you to begin this journey. Trust yourself, be patient with yourself, and most importantly, be kind to yourself along the way. Your inner self is waiting. Are you ready to begin the most important journey of your life? The journey to truly knowing and being yourself? Take a deep breath and take that first step. Your authentic, fulfilled life is waiting for you. Remember, you are worthy of living a life that truly reflects who you are at your core. You deserve to know and express your true self, and you have the power within you to make this happen. So go forth with courage, with curiosity, and with compassion for yourself. The journey to finding your inner self starts now, and it's going to be amazing.